This show contains adult content and is brought to you by the letter H.
The following video is our final rant in this channel. It contains moments where we will be forced to show off violent and gross imagery that is in no way meant to be suitable for a younger audience. Especially the rage and yelling. That part is totally real. Tonight, a cartoon that goes from awful to unforgivable. How this manages to be worse than Modern Family Guy and several other bad shows. And everyone sends this show to the 9th ring of hell.
Hello everyone, I am back once again, and you saw the title, and it's finally time to discuss this atrocity. But first, due to the drama surrounding the channel, some of the planned cast was changed. Now let's get to the next person so we can get to the point of this video.
Hey guys, it's me, Jurassic. Let me tell you something. I am not in such a great mood at all.
Astrovitha here again, and before I say anything else, let's just say that I am not in a good mood. So with that said, are we ready to discuss our next project?
You bet we are! I can't wait to release all my anger on this one!
Wait a second, you seem to be missing a person. Who's the final person?
Where's my... Oh, right! This was today, wasn't it? Yo! The name's Gigi. Gigi Star. Star-crossed anti-hero at your service. I'm pretty excited, not gonna lie. This is my first time on this channel. So, are we gonna tell them what we're doing, or...?
Glad you guys could appear for this one. Anyways, on to the topic of today's video. The subject of this video makes all the other things that you've ranted on look tolerable. Yes, that includes Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate. And, well, let's just say it.
It's fucking Velma!
Bruh, to say this is from hell would be an insult to hell itself! It is a torture test designed to make you lose your mind! Okay, Asta, calm down. Save that energy for later.
It's the worst thing I have ever seen in my entire life! I actually despise this atrocity, even more so than my most hated movie ever! Jurassic World Dominion! Which, in fact, with Dominion, I would actually rather watch.
It's bad. Really bad. That's putting it lightly, too. It's quite possibly one of the worst fucking modern adaptations I've seen for something in a long, long time. Like, it quite literally misses the point of what it's supposed to be most of the time. I'm all for liking something that's it's considered kind of dog shit. I mean, look at me. I enjoy Yeka Postmodern RPG. I'm in no place to talk. But if you like Velma in any shape, way, or form, I'm just gonna assume you hit your head really hard. You should get that checked out. Thoughts and prayers. Not that anybody who likes this exists, anyways.
Now, before we proceed to the main discussion of this video, I would like to say this. If you liked this show, then that's okay. We'll respect your opinion. But when it comes to us, and most of the internet, we despise this atrocity with a burning passion. And if you don't want to hear us ramble about this garbage, I suggest you click off the video now. But if you like this type of content from us, then I suggest you get comfortable and enjoy the show.
The show had only one job, and it couldn't even do that right. The main focus and selling point of the series is Scooby-Doo himself, and without him, the 1969 show would be left in the dust and no one would give a rat's rear about it. So, how does this supposed reboot honor the mascot that gave Hanna-Barbera their much-needed shot in the arm? Unbelievable! What makes this worse is that Scrappy was brought in the series instead. Sure, one could argue that Scrappy is the best character in the show for a hysterical reason that we'll get into later, but still, this doesn't excuse the fact that Scooby-Doo himself wasn't brought back for their supposed origin story, even though he's supposed to be the main character of the franchise! Calm down, don't lose your cool, remember what your therapist said. Ahem. So not only did they decide to have Scooby-Doo only featured as a literal corpse, in what's probably the only Gooner example of symbolism in this whole thing, but they instead brought back the former worst character in the franchise. But let's move on, since as bad as this is, the other issues this show suffers from are worse.
You'd be surprised, honestly. You know how the entire internet came together so intensely over hating this series? Yes, that does include the people it apparently was trying to appeal to. That you could immediately tell anyone who liked it was a troll. Yeah, so it turns out they split season 1 from 20 episodes into 10. You know, to have it last longer in the public eye. And probably also to keep hate watchers. Not saying I endorse certain actions, but if you really want to watch something but don't want to give it a view on a streaming site it's probably on, nobody would blame you for doing something. Cough. Don't do anything illegal, of course. Where was I? Oh, right. Kind of surprised it got a second season. It's not shocking at all considering the current state of animation, but still, you'd think such vigorous pushback would do something. Each episode is like, what, 25-ish minutes? Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. God, I think my brain is already trying to push out watching this entire series. They all suck anyways. Thing is, every episode opens with a recap and ends on a cliffhanger. Including the finale where the winner for the internet's most hated protagonist gets killed. And trust me, it's really underwhelming. The pacing is just absolutely god-awful in some places, with A and B plots feeling all sorts of messy. Guess there's only so much you can do with 25 minutes of terrible writing. That's related though. Probably. This is only number 9, by the way. And it's just talking about season 2. Thought I'd remind you. God, 2 fucking seasons. Trying and failing to pander to, what, Redditors and the queer people they fail to represent? Why the hell did this get a second season again? Ugh, I need a drink.
I have one question. Why are the minors getting sexualized in a Scooby-Doo show? Like, why does that have to exist? For example, there are scenes where the girls are all naked in the shower rooms. FBI, open up! Not to mention, there's a recurring gag about teenagers having sex on a bus. Minors are not supposed to be portrayed like this. And the worst part is that this happens multiple times in the show. To sum up my thoughts on both these scenes, Here is a quote from classic Family Guy.
You better watch who you're calling a child, Lois, because if I'm a child, then you know what that makes you? A pedophile. And I'll be damned if I'm gonna stand here and be lectured by a pervert.
That is exactly my point. These people are perverts and shouldn't be doing this in a franchise where stuff like this doesn't belong.
This next segment is going to be a short one, so I'm going to start with a question. Is it really worth being paid minimum wage just to see the show you worked on get dumped to shreds? Personally, I say no, because even though the animation itself is genuinely interesting and well executed, the fact that the animation has this much effort put into it at all makes the show all the more insulting. Thanks to the incompetence of the writing staff, we have to associate surprisingly good animation with this catastrophe of a show. Overall, I wish the animators didn't have to work on this show, or at least got compensated properly, because their talents are wasted in this trash heap.
This show's main plot lines revolve around murder mysteries in the town of Crystal Cove as the cast finds suspect after suspect. However, in an attempt to pad out the time for mediocre mystery, the main plot gets hijacked by pointless side plots and petty will they won't theys. You also have another boring and tacked on twist villain, something that unfortunately happens multiple times throughout the show's run. I'd even say that the twist villains of this show are worse than the likes of Guy Gagné. Why is that, you may ask? Well, here's your answer. Both of these cases are cases of twist villains who come out of nowhere and serve as an excuse to give the respective form of media an antagonist to make up for the lack of a satisfying narrative. The problem here is that the main protagonists are frankly horrible people in their own right as well. In some cases, they're even worse than the villains. Because of that, this makes everyone in the show come off as horrid jerks, which is simply painful storytelling at best, especially if you aren't condemning the actions of the quote-unquote good guys for their wrongdoings. This just makes everyone come off as hypocrites.
You are a hypocrite.
Oh, and there's also the fact that this show practices false advertising. Considering that Velma was apparently made to be seen as an origin story for the Scooby Gang and their friendship, yet not only is Scooby-Doo not in this show, let alone the fact that the main cast don't even seem to like each other, let alone care about one another, but also that Velma died at the end of season 2, so that kind of throws a wrench in their origin story idea. Overall, both the main and side plots of the shows are a complete waste of time and money with absolutely nothing to show for it except cancelled Warner Brothers projects like the Batman Beyond movie and Coyote vs. Acme. On top of that, the only remotely good moments in this atrocity are ruined for one reason or another. Whether that be Velma herself being annoying as hell, or other characters clawing at each other for the spotlight. And the less said about the Halloween special, the better. Let's get ready for the top 5, and believe me when I say, things are gonna get a whole lot worse.
Shock value. Where do I begin? Okay, let me preface this with 2 things. 1, I've seen my fair share of shock value and things. I'm no pansy. Fuck, dude! I like indie horror! Analog, digital, whatever. I even read shitty creepypastas! And 2, I'm not trying to say that these kinds of things should be censored. In fact, I'm kind of against censorship, actually. Thing is, this requires tact. You need to play your cards right, and the writers lost the deck several states away. Velma as a series suffers from doesn't know how to make something maturitis, filling with pointless, copious amounts of drugs, sex, and gore. Really didn't need to see graphic eye trauma in the latter half of the 2nd season, or the cockroach coitus in the 1st episode of season 1. Really what I needed in a mature adaptation of something.
Are you kidding me? Out of the gates? This is not happening!
Thanks for that. The pregnancy shit that goes on for around, half of the 1st season is pretty uncomfortable. did not need the first plot or the whole nude stripper thing. They're trying so hard to be funny and falling directly into a wood chipper. A big part of this series is finding out who the killer is. The killer who, in fact, has been scooping out the brains of teenage girls, considered beautiful or whatever. The second half is just killing men close to the Scooby Project. The thing is, with the murder mystery, you can't have incredibly gory violence played for laughs and the shocking discovery of another victim's mutilated carcass in the same episode. It totally ruins the surprise! In fact, you might even assume it's another poorly executed joke! They go out of their way to show hollowed out heads of rotting corpses, talking brains in jars, and horribly mauled bodies halfway buried by a campsite, to name a few, but none of it has any weight as a reveal. You wanna know why? Because they keep relying on excessive gore for jokes. Look, I guess what I'm trying to say is...
That is bullshit blazing, still my heart is blazing. If the word kill me, I don't need a new one.
There's a way to write shocking content in media without being, I don't know, completely wince-worthy about it. Almost cartoonish amounts of violence can be funny. Postal 2 and some parts of Sunset Overdrive come to mind for me, personally. I can think of several times where over-the-top violence in general is very much welcomed. Mortal Kombat, hack and slashes like DMC and Bayonetta, stuff like that. Sex jokes? I usually love them. I got the humor of a 12-year-old boy. But you have to be a little more clever than having horny and teenagers in the same sentence, mentioning cutting off dicks multiple times over. Or, well, no, okay, there's a lot I could list here, actually, but I hope you get the idea. The drugs part? Fuck, I've laughed at that stupid she overdosed on yaoi cocaine image for a good 5 minutes before. I'm no better, really. Same with the sex joke part. Definitely have to be a bit smart with that, don't you think? And, well, if there's one thing I can't describe the show's humor as, it's smart. It feels like they're trying way too hard to show that this isn't your meme on Scooby-Doo, or whatever. Really wish that adult animation wasn't dumbed down to sex, drugs, violence, funny, laugh! No wonder why so many people are watching anime and kids shows.
This show is... oh, what the heck, I'll play the clip since you're expecting it.
Here we go! Not funny! Dickens, laugh!
And since this is meant to be a witty comedy, that makes the lack of clever jokes even worse. Not even the darker jokes land since they don't even try to build up to anything, from the nudity and sex-related jokes Jurassic mentioned earlier, to the shock value Gigi mentioned, to the dreaded meta-humor.
You know what 420 is, right?
Yeah. It's code for adults who still watch cartoons.
Shut up! Just shut the fuck up!
And the multiple offensive jokes that are made frequently in this show's runtime. All these jokes are so boring and offensive that they ironically come off as boring. When the punchline is teenage girls getting murdered for the 17th time, there is no longer any shock behind the grotesque subject, just exhaustion. And when they aren't trying to go full shock jock in their humor, the true lack of comedic depth is on full display. Like the moment when Fred's father says there's an age limit on pancakes. Okay, why does this joke exist? Call Fred a man-child? Why does this show have to be so blatantly direct to the point where villains who are meant to be seen as deadly serious make up more humorous moments than this show? For example, the times when Shao Kahn roasts the player's skills in the Mortal Kombat franchise.
It's official. You suck.
That quote from the brutal Emperor of Outworld has way more entertainment value than the god-awful jokes that this atrocity provides. And that's not even going into the irreverent race jokes, which are a whole other can of worms on their own. As much ire as the post-Endgame MCU's meta-comedy gets, even though I personally don't mind most of the jokes, they are still way less grating than this. In fact, there's only one moment that is actually remotely funny, and even then it probably wasn't meant to be the fan-favorite moment that it became. The scene I'm referring to is the scene where Velma gets run over.
I'm out past curfew, and I think the movie Serpico is boring. What are you gonna do about that?
Too bad she didn't die from that. It would have saved everyone the time and spared us the indignity. Even when she does get killed by Scrappy, she returns as a ghost and then gets resurrected later. So overall, this show has no potentially good moments because of the writing and how painfully unfunny or even offensive the jokes are.
Do you now see the potential you squandered?
Alright, I'm calm now. Okay. Now that this is taken care of, let's move on to the top 3. And believe me, if you weren't full of hatred for this show beforehand, you will now, so prepare yourselves for pure rage.
Now we are getting to the final 3 reasons why we despise this show. This next one is going to be where I talk about 3 members of the gang. Who are they? They are Fred Jones, Daphne Blake, and Norville Shaggy Rogers. Do I really have to talk about those 3 in terms of their personalities? Fred is a whiny rich guy, desperately trying to hide his insecurities. Daphne is a self-destructive, drug-dealing manipulator. And Shaggy? Oh, I'm sorry, Norville! He's a stereotypical band nerd who worries about being a beta male. What happened to the Scooby-Doo mystery gang that we once knew and loved? Starting off with Daphne Blake. One example of her crimes is when Daphne sells drugs called Zoinks and Cheekies. Sure, it's a cheeky reference to the original series, but comes off as a lazy shock joke, not unlike most others in the show. And to fuel her little drug operation, she even goes out of her way to steal from others, cementing herself as a dishonest person willing to screw over others in the past. While this could have been used to make her a more interesting character whose flaws conflicted the gang's goals, any attempt at nuance is thrown out the window when she abuses the trust and bodies of those around her. She even goes as far as abusing her mom's power as cops. Now, let me start off this next part by stressing that there is not a single thing wrong with queer relationships. Everyone has the right to be who they are, and no amount of hatred should ever come between a truly loving couple. That being said, the relationship between Daphne and Velma is so horrifically toxic, yet to the point that it may even damage some people's views of queer relationships. While it is important to show that not all relationships are perfect, and that struggle and compromise finds its way into every partnership, there are 0 redeeming qualities to the self-destructive affection on display. There are plenty of healthier queer relationships out there in media. Yaz and Sammy from Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory, Luz and Amity from the Owl House, and Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn from the Batman comics make for much more healthier couples than these 2. Between Daphne's penchant for violence and Velma's constant antagonism, these 2 are a match made in hell. Now, to Fred Jones. Fred is, like I said before, a cliche, self-absorbed nepo baby with entitlement issues. Some prime examples be racism towards Velma, calling her Samoan and Mexican, even though she made it clear to him that she is of Indian descent. Oh, let's not forget the fact that when Fred threatens people with quote-unquote dire consequences. What consequences are you even talking about? Another act of his childish behavior is during the court case when jurors and other members of the court laugh at him because he can't use utensils properly. So, what does he do in response to this humiliation? He loses his temper again and screams this.
Is that true? I'm a big boy! A big boy who could have removed those dumb girls' brains no problem if I wanted to.
It would be one thing if he learned to grow from the humiliation he brought onto himself, but he continues to cry like a child and throw tantrums when things don't go his way. He even causes a whole riot in jail. It's no wonder Velma hates him. If he was here right now, I would instantly give him a complete concussion. Seriously, he's the worst incarnation of Fred Jones in the entire Scooby-Doo franchise. And finally, Norville. Oh my lord, where do I even begin with him? Aside from the fact that he's not a great man, a special man. Okay, let's go into more details about. Norville is known for his leniency, passiveness, naivety, and eager willingness to put up with Velma's awful behavior. He is also shown to take a complete 180 from being a nice guy who is Velma's punching bag to being a selfish jerk when he decides to blackmail Velma into dating him. Overall, he's either spineless, willfully ignorant, or selfishly malicious. Seriously, why must all the main cast be made into a bunch of jerks only interested in their own pursuits? They are supposed to be solving mysteries together and working as a team like in the older shows, not acting like selfish jerks who don't even like each other. The only positive I can give is the fact that Norville calls Velma out for her selfish acts and her arrogant behavior.
I don't care about my house, Velma. I care that you accused my dad of being a serial killer without even telling me.
This is unbelievable.
I put you above everything in my life. But I draw the line at my family. If our situations were reversed, you would have left me for dead after my first hallucination. Yeah, I don't care. You're a bad friend, and you look terrible in orange.
She deserves it. Overall, these imposters are completely toxic towards each other, are bad at being a team, and are all horrible, selfish people as a whole. But now, get ready for number 2, which is even worse than those 3.
Okay, from now on, all of us are working together for a very good reason. Because we are talking about the worst character in the show.
Let's just cut to the chase. It's Velma herself. Now, where did this character go so wrong? Oh yeah, let's talk about her personality.
Dear God, is she pretentious! From her constant nagging attitude and her impulsive need to insult everyone she comes across, to a certain aspect of the show that is most prominent toward the character, which we will get to later. But believe me, she drives it into your head like a drill through the wall!
This wouldn't be a problem if she was made to be unlikable. But no, we're supposed to like her, apparently. And the fact that it is pretty much impossible to like her ruins the point of her character.
She's pretty much rage bait in human form, and pretty much the main reason why the show has such a bad reputation. There isn't really anything to like about her. Anything that could even remotely be considered clever or well written is just undercut at one point or another, and it just makes her that much more pretentious.
Overall, Velma is what you get when you make a Karen-type character the main character of a dark comedy, then also forget to make her entertaining in any way. Don't worry, we're almost done with this review. But first, give us a quick second.
Okay, now before we get to number 1, we're going to tell you all now. If you thought this was intense before, you must prepare yourself, because number 1 is the worst thing you could ever do in an adaptation like this. For that, we're going all out. No more holding back. So consider this your final warning. If you don't want to hear all of us rage to the max, I suggest you click off now. However, if you're still interested, then you can stick around. So let's get into this. But before we do that, Gigi, would you like to say or do the recap?
Aw, little old me. Alright. Number 10, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Number 9, another season of drivel. Number 8, why don't you take a seat over there? Number 7, why did they hire people with actual talent to work on this garbage? Number 6, nonsensical plot. Number 5, don't like that. Number 4, where's the funny? Number 3, simp, slut, and spoiled rich kid. And number 2, the winner of the internet's most hated protagonist.
You should not be surprised what number 1 will be. To say that this show is offensive is an understatement. All the main characters are bigoted in some way. In an attempt to be inclusive, the writers bend over backwards so hard that instead dive into stereotypes of the ethnicities and identities they were trying to give voices to. Attempts to combat sexism devolve into misandry, and attempts at embracing diverse cultures turn into borderline racist depictions.
That's just
Hey, funny you should mention that. For whatever reason, I cannot, for the life of me, pin down who exactly the show is for. They make fun of everyone and everything, from several instances of annoying, pretentious pop culture critique that are sometimes completely wrong, by the way, to the adults who still watch cartoons line said by Velma that Chad mentioned beforehand. Speaking of beforehand, remember the shower scene of the first episode we talked about? Yeah, I don't want to either. By the way, not the first time there's a shower scene. Bear with me for a minute, but I find it really ironic that they had Daphne poke fun at that.
Have you ever noticed how pilot episodes of TV shows always have more gratuitous sex and nudity than the rest of the series?
First episode, ladies and gents, and this isn't even the worst the shitty excuse for media has to offer. I watched the whole thing again, actually. I would know. Took notes too. Some of them even have frowny faces or tired, baggy eyes instead of my thoughts. Well, yeah, this show makes me angry, but I don't think it makes me that angry. Don't get me wrong, it's shit, horrible, an affront to entertainment. Possibly the worst of the worst, but, well, I'd hate to miss out on all the fun. Wings of Wonder!
Wait, haven't heard this in a minute. Now, where were we? Alright, whoever wrote for this, I am so sorry for you. This is such ass! Quite literally no character here is likable, and I've never hated a character faster with one singular spoken line. That is some serious skill. Please use it somewhere that isn't on a show starring the world's most annoying, narky lead, only seconded by Alex Eagleston of Yick fame. Don't get it twisted. Can't stand that guy. Nothing makes me hate someone more than being a pretentious entitled prick.
To sum it all up, this show is everything wrong with modern media. It's unfunny, it doesn't understand its audience, the acting is subpar, it's offensive to the nth degree, and overall insufferable.
Agreed! This makes Jurassic World Dominion look like the first Jurassic Park movie. It makes Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate look like Shrek 2. It makes the Mulan remake look like 2016 The Jungle Book. And it makes Disney's Wish look like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. Overall, this show is completely and utterly irredeemable!
I think that's enough examples. So overall, I believe all of us can agree when we say,
Fuck this TV show!
I bet you're wondering how we'll punish this atrocity. Well, since it is worse than anything we've ever done before, we shall treat it as such. As such, we condemn this atrocity to a punishment day.
Oh, I know!
multiverse special, eh? Prepare for the next show of your life, viewers at home. This is gonna make bootleg fireworks look like an aurora projector.
Good, because that's what I want to happen. Okay, enough talk. Let's destroy them all.
Do you know what today is? That's right, my friends. Today is Punishment Day. We have 4 punishments set out before we do the main punishment. Now let the pain begin. First punishment, G-Star destroys the main characters.
Guys.
Second punishment, Velma gets eaten by the shark from the movie Jaws. Third punishment, facing the wrath of the demon King Ganondorf. Fourth punishment, Bill Cipher blasts the show to dust.
Oh no! Whatever will I do about that? How about this?
Well, it's finally here. We have reached the ultimate punishment. For everything this atrocity has done to make all the previous bits of bad media look decent, I shall bring in 4 characters from gaming to destroy this atrocity once and for all. Who are they? Let's find out.
1 hour later.
I'm glad you managed to make it here.
Yeah, just cut to the chase. Why the fuck are we here? And what do you want? It had better be important. If you're wasting my time, you won't live long enough to regret it.
Glad you asked. It's time to destroy the worst bit of bad media to ever exist, the Velma Show.
Wonderful! I have more bad characters to consume. I will ensure that their deaths are painful. I'll show that makes things like the atrocious Zelda TV show look tolerable is mere garbage. This show and everyone in it shall be cast into the void.
Okay, I'll help. But remember, this is not an alliance. We only have a common enemy, and nothing more. I will deal with the souls of the characters once they are finished, since apparently they can come back as ghosts.
Alright everyone, it's time for the show to be destroyed. Once and for all.
You can run and hide, but you cannot escape from me. What were you hoping to accomplish with such a wimpy little knife? You know what? Because you thought you could fight back, I'm not just going to kill you. I'm going to make it hurt. More pathetic numbskulls fall to the might of Ridley.
Look at this pathetic group. I'm going to enjoy this!
true? I'm a big boy who could have removed those dumb girls' brains no problem if I wanted to.
And now it's your turn, Velma. I shall dispose of you quickly, and then eat you for lunch.
Your souls are mine.
Flawless victory.
Okay, that's done. Now you guys can leave.
Whatever. I only helped because I got to kill people. Don't expect me to help you again.
Velma got what she deserved in the end. The same goes for the other three I just devoured. If there's any loathsome character you outright despise, you let me know. And when that day comes, you'll know that I'll be back. This was fun. I hope there is another day where my talents are needed. Until next time.
Consuming all those souls was enjoyable. So I suppose I won't consume your souls. Farewell, Earth Roamers.
Man, I feel like I need a vacation after all that screaming, yelling, and rage. This show gave me such a bad migraine. Even worse than when I saw Nevermind versus the Noob Syndicate.
Oh boy, tell me about it, dude. Coming down from my insults got me more beat than this dead horse. At least you know the hatred of this show is unanimous, right? Reminds me of the NFT bubble era. Good times, good times.
Agreed. I haven't seen anything this bad since I watched Mortal Kombat Annihilation or the Zelda TV show. Even then, those bits of bad media are preferable to this. I never want to watch this atrocity or anything else like it ever again. That being said, audience members, if any of the rage in this video offended you, then I apologize. Okay, now then, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you guys want to mention?
I think we all said everything that us and the entire internet already said, so not really.
My personal verdict? Just go watch Mystery Inc. or something. I think it's the closest we're gonna get to a good, mature Scooby-Doo series for a long, long while. If you want something that's the murder mystery style of Velma, but considerably better, which frankly isn't very hard to do, you'd probably like Persona 4. Emphasis on probably. I know JRPGs aren't everyone's style, and this one in particular hasn't aged very well in my opinion. I've heard that Be Cool Scooby-Doo also wasn't actually that bad if you want a more comedic romp. It just has a really ugly art style. Watch literally anything else, I promise you. You will be doing yourself a favor.
Mystery Inc. is an absolutely great show, GG. But seriously, in all honesty, we all owe a big apology to Scrappy-Doo, Shaggy, and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue and the Scoob movie. Perhaps we treated them too harshly.
I agree. They were masterpieces compared to the atrocity that we just had to discuss. Heck, I'd even say that freaking Surf's Up 2-Weight Mania Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate is looking at this piece of trash and laughing. I'd sooner watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation 10 times over than deal with this show again. And no, I'm not exaggerating. I'm completely serious when I say this. Okay then, with all that done, I'll head back to my place. I hope you all look forward to what happens next. Oh, and please don't tell us to talk about the Halloween special or anything else about the show if it somehow gets revived. It was torturous enough to go through season 1 and 2. But if you insist on knowing, it sucks. There, goodbye. Now you know.
Guys, it was fun doing this together in the nightmare world with all of you. As for Velma, we're going back in time to February 10th, 2011 to get Velma out of existence. That's right. We're going back in time to February 10th, 2011 to get Velma out of existence. Anyway, jokes aside, I better go back to Biosyn's Sanctuary because I am needing a vacation. See you guys later.
Phew. Ugh, I'm tired. Felt good to get all that out though. You'll be seeing me more often. I've been helping the fine folks over here with the channel in a lot more ways than just in videos. Does the banner's art style look familiar? Anyways, I gotta get back to the Flintlock Hornet. And I have to call my boyfriend. Hope he isn't pelting golf balls at people and throwing strangers with his teeth again. Catch y'all on the flip side!
I just have one thing to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been a long time coming, and this will be the last rant on this channel. I hope to see you all again someday.